It was one of those perfect spring afternoons in Manhattan, the kind that almost makes you forget how expensive it is to breathe there. It was Vance Financial's annual Family Day, a day where the city's most powerful people brought their kids to the office to show them what wealth looked like up close. I was 11. I was wearing my only dress, the one my dad had tried to steam with a kettle that morning. He'd borrowed an iron from the motel manager, but it left a small scorch mark near the bottom, shaped like a comma. He told me it meant the pause before something beautiful. My father's name was Silas Grant, but at Vance Financial they didn't call him that. They called him the temp server with the limp. Just 3 years earlier, he'd been their VP of Strategic Acquisitions. But then, Tyler Vance Sr. orchestrated a hostile takeover of my father's firm. It wasn't just a business deal, it was personal. My dad had once outbid Tyler Sr. for a penthouse in Tribeca, a mistake he'd pay for dearly. Within 6 months, my dad's company was gone, his pension was vaporized, and our home became a Motel 6 off the Jersey Turnpike. Things got worse. My mother had just started chemo. The bills were almost $3,000 a month, and insurance covered none of it. Why? Because Tyler Vance Sr. had personally lobbied to gut the pre-existing condition clause in their company's policy. But that day, Family Day, my father saw a chance. He wasn't invited, but a former assistant who still felt guilty had told him about it. He spent our last $38 on a second-hand tuxedo from Goodwill. It was way too big and smelled of someone else's life. He polished his shoes with Windex. As he dropped me off in the lobby, he whispered, "Maya, today we change our story. Just watch." The 38th floor was all glass and cold echoes. Tyler Vance Jr. was 15, already over 6 feet tall and sporting a new Rolex Submariner, an $18,000 watch. At the time, all I noticed was how it caught the light when he pointed at my father's shoes. "Whoa, check out the homeless James Bond," Tyler Jr. announced, his voice carrying across the room. His friends laughed and circled around. My father was holding a tray of champagne flutes, his hands shaking. He'd been sleeping in his car for 47 nights, ever since we'd been kicked out of the motel. The number 47 had started to follow him everywhere. 47 nights, $47 left in his 401k, 47 unanswered calls to Tyler Sr.'s office. Tyler Jr. took a flute from the tray, but he didn't drink it. He held it up to the light. "You know what I love about champagne?" he said to the crowd. "It's worthless until you pop it. Kinda like some people's lives." And then he just dropped it. The glass shattered on the marble floor. "Clean that up, will you?" he told my father before turning to me. "Hey, kid, you his daughter?" I couldn't move. My father, already on his knees, slicing his thumb on a shard of glass, whispered, "Maya, don't." But Tyler crouched down to my level. He smelled like money and mint. "Here's a life lesson, free of charge. Your dad's a loser. He lost because he thought hard work mattered. It doesn't. What matters is knowing the right people. And you," he said, tapping my forehead, "don't know anyone." Then he stood up, reached into his jacket and pulled out a watch. Not the Rolex. It was an old Timex, just like the one my dad used to wear. He'd found it in the lost and found and kept it as a trophy. It was my father's watch. It had stopped at 2:47 a.m., the exact time the hospital called to say my mother's treatment wasn't working. "This yours?" Tyler dangled it over my father's head. My dad, bleeding, reached for it. Tyler let it drop. It hit the marble, the glass face cracking. "Time's up," Tyler said. That night, my father didn't say a word. We just sat in our car, parked under a bridge, a steady leak dripping onto his forehead. He just held the broken watch. After 47 minutes, he finally spoke. "Maya, I need you to remember this. Not the shame, the time. 2:47 a.m. That's when everything starts." He died 6 months later. Pneumonia. He'd given me his only blanket. I was 12 years old. I sold that broken Timex for $38. It bought me 3 days in a youth shelter. That's where I met Mrs. Chen. "You organize your food into rows," she said to me one day. It was something my dad had taught me. Even in a shelter, you could have order. Mrs. Chen saw something in me. She paid for my first semester of high school, telling me it was a scholarship. I know now that it wasn't. She was just investing in a girl who knew how to organize her survival. I graduated valedictorian. My speech was about time, about how for some people it stops at 2:47 a.m., but for others, it's just a comma. I got a full ride to Wharton. I worked 3 jobs. I sent out over 2,000 resumes. I was rejected from Vance Financial 47 times. Then, one Tuesday at 2:47 a.m., I got a call from their HR department. "We have a diversity initiative," the woman said. "We're looking for candidates from non-traditional backgrounds." Non-traditional. That was one way to put it. I took the job, the lowest possible position, analyst level 1, and my boss? Tyler Vance Jr. He didn't recognize me. The scared kid in the scorched dress was gone. I wore power suits. I organized my desk in perfect rows. I worked until 2:47 a.m. most nights. It was my ritual, my ghost hour. The time my father stopped so I could start. 3 years in, I found it. A $2.3 million hole in the pension fund. It was wire fraud, hidden under 3 shell companies, and Tyler Jr. had signed off on it. The scam targeted retirees with pre-existing conditions. People like my mother. The irony was so perfect, it felt like a sign. I didn't go to the board directly. I gave the evidence to an IT girl named Priya, the same woman who'd felt guilty enough to tip off my dad all those years ago. She ran the numbers. The board panicked. They needed a fall guy. Tyler Vance Jr. got his termination papers on a Tuesday at exactly 2:47 p.m. They made me the interim CEO. I was 26. My first meeting was in the same conference room where Tyler had shattered that champagne flute. I had the old marble floor ripped out, framed, and mounted in the lobby. The plaque reads, "Time's up, dedicated to those who organize their survival." Tyler came to see me. He just walked in, full of that same old entitlement. "You can't do this," he said. "This is my company." I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the Timex. I'd bought it back from the pawn shop and had it repaired. I kept it set to 2:47. I slid it across the desk. "You're right," I said. "Time's up." He stared at the watch, then at me, and then I saw it. The slow storm of recognition in his eyes. "You're the Maya Grant, yes. Daughter of the temp server you humiliated. And now you're CEO." His jaw literally dropped. "This is your severance package," I told him. "A chance to walk out of here without handcuffs. The SEC is deciding whether to press charges for that pension fraud. My testimony will depend on how gracefully you exit." He stood there for exactly 47 seconds. I counted. Then he picked up the watch and left. A week later, a package arrived. No return address. Inside was the Timex, with a note that just said, "It still works." A year later, Tyler Vance Sr. died. Pancreatic cancer. He left me a key to a safety deposit box. Inside was $2.3 million in cash and a note. "This is what I stole. Use it to fix what I broke." I donated it all. I started the Grant Foundation to fund cancer treatment for families denied insurance. The first recipient was a woman named Chen, my Mrs. Chen. But here's the part that keeps me up at 2:47 a.m. now. Last month, I hired a new analyst. Sharp kid, fresh out of Wharton. On his first day, I saw him filming a homeless man outside our building, laughing. The man's sign said, "Lost everything but my mind, hungry for change." I fired him on the spot. He asked why. I showed him the video he'd posted. I said, "Because I don't need analysts who see background characters. I need ghosts who see people." Some lessons have to be lived, not just taught. That's what my father taught me. Organize your survival. Count your quarters. And remember the time. And if you're watching this, Derek, and I know you are, here's your ending. I kept the quarter, the one you flicked at my father. It's framed in my office. Heads up, because even when you throw things away, they have a way of landing right back where they started. Time's up, but for some of us, it's just the beginning. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, drop a heart and share this with someone who needs to be reminded. The people you overlooked today might just be the ones writing your story tomorrow.